Attorney General Pam Bondi, a longtime Trump loyalist who once investigated Trump University fraud in Florida before mysteriously dropping the case after a donation to her campaign, sat before the House Judiciary Committee today. And instead of answering hard questions about Jeffrey Epstein, the hearing devolved into a Republican victory lap. Chairman Jim Jordan, a man who has never met a Democratic subpoena he wouldn't block, turned the proceedings into a MAGA rally. Stock market numbers were recited like scripture. Impeachment grievances were relitigated, and the Epstein victims, they were used as a political prop invoked not to seek justice, but to score points against Democrats.
Bondi, you go right ahead. I'm over here. The time is yours.
Thank you. First, he brought up the president saying they indicted me twice. They sure did. They tried to impeach him twice, and you, Mr. Nadler, were one of the leads on the impeachment. I was on the other side. I lived that with you. During impeachment, you said the president conspired, sought foreign interference in the 2016 election. Robert Mueller found no evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016. Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. You know, all they want to do, the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million, and Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over, the Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Mr. Jordan, am I going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time?
The committee will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. Ms. Bondi, the Attorney General can respond.
Thank you. The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy. They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year. National median rents have fallen to a 4-year low, thanks to Donald Trump. That's why they want to focus on Epstein and our most transparent president in the nation's history. The murder rate, as I said, has plummeted to a 125-year low, thanks to Donald Trump. For an unprecedented 9 straight months, there were 0 illegal border crossings at the southern border. That's what we should be focused on. All the great work that this president has done and will continue to do to keep America safe and to make Americans safe.
Thank you, Attorney General Bondi. I agree with you totally. I think you've done a fine job. I think that Democrats, in fact, should be apologizing to the Epstein victims for doing nothing during the 4 years that they were running the government. We did not hear about this, and it took you and President Trump to finally provide transparency and give answers to the American people, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you also for standing up for truth today and for fighting back against the theatrics and the time waste that you will endure over the next hour or two. I want to apologize on behalf of my colleagues on the left. They're not all that bad, but they've got to put on a show. And I'm sorry that you have to go through that. And I would like to yield the last I'd say 40, and 40 is 80 seconds. The clock says 40, but I've got 80 seconds since I was so rudely interrupted, and I'll give all 80 seconds to Chairman Jordan.
And I would just yield to the Attorney General if she has anything to add.
I'm fine to continue. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, the chair now recognizes, the gentleman yields back. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would note that Mr. Nadler's question has not yet been answered, but I want to start by asking that out of respect for the American public.
Attorney General Pam Bondi, the nation's top law enforcement officer, sat before the House Judiciary Committee and was never seriously pressed by the Republican majority on any matter of substance. Instead, she was handed a microphone to recite White House talking points. The Dow is up, the border is secure, the murder rate is down. These are claims that deserve scrutiny, not applause, and certainly not from the members whose constitutional duty is to provide that very scrutiny. Chairman Jim Jordan, a man who refused to comply with a subpoena from the January 6th committee, ran this hearing not as an impartial arbiter, but as a stage manager. Democratic members were cut off mid-sentence. Time was selectively enforced. And when a Republican member from Texas went on a tangent about stock market numbers in a hearing about the Justice Department, Jordan said nothing. But the moment a Democrat asked a pointed question, order was suddenly called. The Republican majority wants you to believe that this administration has been, quote, the most transparent in history on this matter. They released documents, yes. But releasing documents is not the same as pursuing justice. No one in that hearing asked Attorney General Bondi what active investigations are underway. No one asked who is being pursued. No one asked why certain names remain redacted. Transparency without accountability is not transparency, it's a performance. And then there was the remarkable moment when a sitting member of Congress apologized to the Attorney General not for a governmental failure, not for an injustice, but for the fact that she had to sit through questions from the opposing party. A United States congressman apologized to a member of the executive branch for being subjected to legislative oversight. That is not governance. That is genuflection. The Republican argument today boiled down to this: the economy is strong, the border is secure, and therefore no further questions are necessary. But oversight doesn't come with a prosperity exemption. Richard Nixon presided over a booming stock market. It didn't make Watergate irrelevant. A rising Dow does not immunize an administration from scrutiny, and the American people should be deeply concerned when their elected representatives suggest otherwise. The majority party has decided that its role is not to check the executive branch, but to protect it. And in doing so, they have failed the very people they swore an oath to serve, including, most painfully, the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, who were invoked by name but served by no one in that room.